All right, good day, learners. In the previous budget question, I looked at the sales side of it. Now, the other very important part of this budget, and the other second part that most learners battle with, is the buying of the goods. Obviously, if we're selling these goods, we have to replace them. Now, let's just first of all, just sort out, at school level, we make an assumption that whatever we sell will be bought back. So we will stick with the same stock levels every single month. Now that is not totally correct, and when you study after school you might find it different, but that's an assumption and it's written in our guidelines as to what we will do. So going back to my same example, you've got your sales. Those goods have been sold, so you've got to replace them. But our replacement will be at cost price. So the next step in this whole process is to work out your cost of sales. And as I said to you, because the fact that we are buying what we sold is why our cost of sales and our purchases will be identical. Now, you know, using your cost of sales and your markup percentage, and I've used 60% in this example, you need to then calculate your cost of sales. So you've got your sales, use your markup, and you get your cost of sales. So what that's telling me is that in January, I've got to buy 62,500 Rand worth of goods, and in February, 93,750 to replace what I've sold. Right, again, these cost of sales or these purchases can either be bought and paid for straight away as a cash purchase, or they could be bought on account and paid later. So again, you will be given this information, and I've taken 30% as being cash and 70% being credit. So these are just the answers. 30% of your cost of sales. Remember, we're buying goods now, it's at cost price, so the 30% for the 2 months, and the other 70% will make up the credit purchases. Now, just like when we did the cash sales, if we're buying this for cash, we will be paying for it immediately. So these amounts then can be inserted straight into your cash budget. So therefore, under your budget, but now we're looking under the payments part, and our cash purchases will come in for each month. Right, but now we need to look at the credit component of this, the part that we're buying on credit. In other words, these amounts here. And what they're telling us is that the creditors are paid in 30 days, less 12% discount. So we're only paying for our credit purchases, remember? So this 43,750 that was bought in January is going to be sold paid for in 30 days. Right? 1 month later, you're going to pay it in February. But it's going to be subject to a discount of 12%. So you'll only actually be paying 88%. And so 43,750 times 88%, or remember, you can work out 12% of this and then subtract, in which case you're just doing it in 2 steps. But that means that in February, I'm going to pay an amount of 38,500. The purchases for February, the credit purchases, are only going to be paid in March. Now that goes beyond what I need. But because we're paying 30 days, we are going to pay in January here for goods we are buying back in December. And so again, you've got your 140,000 times 88%, and that gives you 123,200. Right. Now, it is possible that the creditors might be set out the same as the debtors. In other words, a certain percentage in 30 days, another percentage in 60 days, and that can happen. But generally, in most questions, you'll find that while they'll test that in the debtors, the creditors won't be as involved. Once you've got these 2 figures now then, those 2 figures are then going to be transferred back into the budget. And so there you are, under the payments, we'll now bring in a cash paid to creditors, or you could write credit purchases. and it's those two figures. Now this budget, I've actually only focused on the two aspects, the sales and then the cost of sales or the purchasing. That is generally probably the most challenging part of it. And the problem is because there's so many steps. And you've got to keep yourself going step by step. The less you jump around and the more methodical that you actually are, the easier it will be to allocate these amounts. As always, remember, show your workings. Because with so many figures, it is possible to write down a figure wrong or to make a stupid calculation on the calculator. By writing down your workings on your answer book, you will be awarded the part marks. So please practice these two parts of the budget, get them sorted out, and then you can go on with the rest of it.